Your network doesn't operate in a vacuum. Every change you make has a direct business impact. So why make changes quietly in your silo? Orchestrate your network automations to integrate with the rest of the business using iTential. Visit itential.com to find out more. That's itential.com. Welcome to Heavy Networking from the Packet Pushers Network, a fine podcast for network engineers, DevOps professionals, and security people. Discover everything we have for your professional career development for free with no login required at packetpushers.net. I am Ethan Banks with Drew Convery, and we are in Austin, Texas at the AutoCon 4 conference, an ongoing series about network automation that happens twice a year, once in North America and once in Europe. And our guest today is Andy Lapteff. Andy being here at AutoCon is our show today in a way. So let me explain. Andy was a self-described CLI lifer that has become a network automation enthusiast. And that doesn't mean he's got all the answers. He hasn't written a book on automation. He's not selling you an automation course. But I think it's fair to say that Andy is an automation convert. So Andy, welcome to Heavy Networking. And have you been on Heavy Networking before?
Thank you, Ethan. It's awesome to be here. I have not been on yet. This is my inaugural episode.
Okay, inaugural episode. Then tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Andy Lapteff. I am a network engineer turned product marketing manager. I work at Nokia Data Center, and I'm responsible for the network or the data center fabric automation solution called EDA, Event-Driven Automation.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And if you've listened to Heavy Networking, you've heard about EDA. If you watch our YouTube channel, you've heard about EDA. And we're not talking about Nokia, and we're not talking about EDA today at all. It just so happens that we know each other, and you... What's the right way to put it? You were a resistor to automation, CLI lifer. You wrote an article like you were a CLI lifer.
Yeah, it's part of. So that's the core of my talk I'm giving tomorrow in front of 800 people. I think. Whose idea was this? This is a terrible idea.
You had to submit the talk, so it must have been you.
I didn't think they were going to take it. Really? So I failed out of computer science in college, and C++ and calculus were my downfall. And no matter how hard I tried, no matter how many tutors I got, no matter how many times I tried to take it, and I wanted to work in computers. This is like the 90s. I'm an old guy. Mm-hmm. So I liked computers. Things were kind of happening around that time. I like taking things apart, very curious. I thought, yeah, I want to work in IT. That sounds amazing. The college program said, no, we're weeding you out. You cannot do C++. Goodbye. And years later, through some weird circuitous route, I wound up back in tech. And when I became a network engineer and they eventually said, you need to learn programming, guess what kind of reaction I had? Because I can't. I won't. This isn't for me. So that's kind of
your mindset was colored by failing out of a CS program back in the day.
I don't know how anybody could fail miserably at something in a very young, formative time in your life, and then decades later pursue it.
Did you end up getting a degree at all?
I have a Bachelor of Communication.
Okay.
It was the easiest degree I could find. I was dating someone at the time who was a PR person, and she was like, what about communication? Because I'm with her and I'm failing out of pre-physical therapy, computer science, all these things that I'm like, oh, this would be really cool, but I don't do good at some of the subjects. And it was communication. And I love to communicate, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's like an English degree, right? Like, oh, great, you know English, good job.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it did work out because we haven't mentioned it yet, but you do have a podcast on network engineering. You are presenting at AutoCon, so you are communicating, and that's a big part of your life now.
I love my job. It's the best job I've ever had. It's most aligned with my strengths. My friend / mentor, Mike Bouchon, kind of turned me on to this book years ago called Now Discover Your Strengths. It was like some kind of psychological thing in the 70s, but instead of, shoring up your weaknesses, focus on your strengths and you will get outsized returns. Tiger Woods is a great example. He was awful in the sand traps. Guess how much he worked in the sand traps? Hardly at all. They worked on his driving, which is what he was good at, and he was one of the best drivers to ever play the game. So, I love to communicate. It's fun. It's great. And what's interesting, I think you and I were on the PA NUG panel, Drew.
Uh-huh.
And that's the first time I think I told this story. It was probably last year. And it really resonated with folks. A lot of people came up to me afterwards, and it was the story that I just told you. And then I wrote a blog at work because I'm working on automation, and I'm like, you know what? I've had an experience. I've kind of changed, and I want to talk about it. The blog took off, and then when AutoCon came up at work, they're like, hey, does anybody have things they want to submit for speakers, like a speaking thing? I'm like, And nobody talked. I'm the guy at work. If nobody says anything, I'm like, I put my hand up slowly. Like, I mean, I might be able to help. I don't know, right? Like, so anyway, I submitted it and they went for it. And now tomorrow I'm going to tell that story.
So let's tell this story here. You said you got into network engineering somehow or other. You got back into tech by a circuitous route, I think you said.
Yep.
How did that happen?
I was in sales and marketing and was really good at it, but I hated sales.
Sales and marketing in what industry?
I sold used cars.
Yeah.
I sold 550 used cars in 2.5 years. Like,
wow.
Jeez.
I know. That's why I say that number, because everybody's like, oh my God. I was really good at it, but it was...
That's like more than one a day.
They wanted one a day, yeah.
Wow.
So 30 in a month was about where you wanted to be. But it's, it's not... I don't know how to put this. The longer I did it, the worse I felt about myself.
Did you have the stereotypical plaid jacket?
No, I we were joking before we recorded. I have a plaid jacket that I haven't worn yet. Now I really want to wear this jacket. No. I mean, it was a chill place, and it wasn't super slimy, but it's just a lot of like lies by omission. If there's a kid who can't afford a car more than $7,000, I know what car I need to sell him, and I know I'm going to have to jump it before he comes for a test drive, because no matter what you do to these things, the batteries die after 2 days. Like just little, but cut of what do they say? Death of 1,000 cuts. Just over time, I'm like, the better I wouldn't say manipulated people, but I was going to fulfill your request when you came in. She wants a pretty red car. Well, don't look at Consumer Reports, because that's not the one she should get, but it's a pretty red car, and I'm going to sell it to you. So anyway, I kind of did a reset in like my mid-30s and got out of sales, started over, and I'm like, what do I want to do? And I still love tech. I love everything about it. How can I get in? So I took a job at a central office running POTS lines, which then turned into a job at an ISP, cable guy, for 5 years, climbing ladders.
There was a bit of a jump there, because if you were at a CEO, you must have been working for a local telco?
Yeah, Verizon.
Okay.
Yeah, local telco at a frame, running wires. And then I got a job as a cable guy for 5 years, climbing ladders. And it's way more technical than you would think. That cable person that comes in and swaps the modem, like we were learning about like frequency division multiplexing and quadrature amplitude modulation. Listen, I'm on heavy networking. I have to use some big words here, guys. I can't be the dummy on heavy networking. But no, it was a very technical, it was full-time school, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for, I forget how many weeks or months, but it was a paid training program, and you had to pass 2 tests, and if you didn't, goodbye.
They said cable as in cable operator, like DOCSIS modems and that?
Yeah, basically cable guy. You start out residential, you go to business, but yeah, coax, hybrid fiber, the guy working from the pole to the house, basically. I come to your house or your business and do it. But I worked my way through the ranks, loved it, wanted more, asked the right questions, and it wound up putting me in Cisco Netacad for CCNA, which then turned into a job at the NOC at Comcast for 2 years. I was in Prefix for 2 years, which was awesome. National, all the cell backhaul, so all the bajillion cell towers in the country, every time somebody cut a fiber.
Hang on, you just said Comcast NOC. Can we stop there for a minute?
Sorry.
So how cool was that? Was it cool?
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have, but like it was great. When I got hired, I mean, even the interview, I have failed every technical interview I've ever taken and gotten the job. So I go into the interview, and the first question they asked me is BGP. It wasn't on the blueprint. I knew how to spell it. I knew it was the internet thing. So there were kind people in that room that walked me through the whiteboard stuff and like, well, what do you know and what tangential? And so there's a really nice guy in there that helped me. But they told me when they hired me, listen, buddy, you're the first cable guy we've ever hired in this national NOC. So it's on you. I'm like, hey. But no, it was great. It was hard. My whole career is I'm always pushing, I'm doing it now in my role too. Like I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, surrounding myself with people better than me and things I want to get better at. And it kind of that rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. So the NOC was great. I was surrounded by geniuses. I mean, there were CCIEs I was sitting with, like troubleshooting, and I learned a ton about troubleshooting, which is awesome.
So I think of the NOC as typically the front line of a business or a network operations center. Is you're looking at, you seeing things go red light, green light, you get incoming reports of problems, and it's up to you guys to do that triage, figure out what's going on, and then take it from there.
It's a lot of stress, but it's a great way to learn. I mean, I honestly think everybody should, if you're starting out network engineering, there should be like a NOC, what's it called? Like the interns, like go in and spend a month at a NOC just because you learn so much. And it's very complex. Like service provider networks are layer upon layer of abstraction that just is really, insane.
Were you in a big operations center with like screens up on the wall and that sort of environment?
Yeah, we were 24/7, 3 shifts. I worked midnights for a year, which was not great for my health, but I did it. Yeah, screens everywhere, and you would get 800 alarms at once. A backhoe hit a fiber along some highway, and the whole East Coast is out, and no one has cell service, and we have to get it up, and there's 911 services impacted, and but it was great. I loved it, but it didn't pay awesome. And after a couple of years, I wanted something more. So I I wanted a build role. I don't know what the right term in the industry is, but I was break fix. I wanted to go and, I wanted customers to come to me and say, we need a thing. And I'm like, I am the guy, I will do the thing. Yeah. And I wound up at a company called Fiserv doing that. And it was amazing.
Fiserv, yeah. That's financial services.
Financial services, yep.
Yeah, I was at a company called Payment Tech for a number of years, and I know Fiserv, I want to say partly owned us or heavily competed with us. Or
yeah, we have fintech in common. I always forget that.
Yeah. I also forget that. We have that common.
And that's a stressful, crazy, federally regulated
Super
place.
Stressful. I learned a ton in my my financial services card. It was payment card, either real time swipes or batch processing or all of the above. For a lot of big online stores that we supported, and I learned an absolute ton. But after 4 years of that, I was ready for something a little more chill. That was high stress.
Yeah, I made it 6 years, but I was ready after 4. And it was crazy. Like right around the pandemic, we merged with another company, and the stress just doubled, just for reasons. There was more complexity. So they. Good segue to automation. You're good at this, Ethan. Fiserv bought a company called First Data. First Data was further down the road in some tech stacks, including automation. And the new leadership came in and said, automate or else, basically. Mm-hmm. So here I am at my quote unquote advanced age, having failed out of computer science, and they're like, you need to learn this.
What sort of things were they wanting to automate? What was the business driver? Do you remember?
It was just a philosophy, I think, which is smart. If you don't have top-down organizational buy-in for automation, I think you're kind of doomed. I know it can be bottom-up where the people on the ground are like, hey, we're doing this, check it out. I guess both would be better if leadership sees the value and the people on the ground are into it. They meet in the middle, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But it came down from above from new leadership, and it was, learn Python, and we're going to create a platform, and we're going to just start. The same thing you hear from everybody. We're going to start doing mundane. Like I had an SNMP community string I had to update in like 600 switches. Right. The only way I know how to do it is
log in.
600 logins.
Yeah.
It would have taken forever, and we just didn't have that kind of time. Yeah. And my buddy, I tried, Python was beyond me at the time, and I had a buddy from First Data who knew this stuff, and he spent a week or two with me and wrote the script, and we did it. And in like 2 nights, we did it all.
That's interesting. You guys didn't buy a platform like way back in the day. I remember we invested in, I think it was EMC Voyance. Does that sound right? That did a lot of that kind of stuff. Like we need to update all the NTP servers. We need to change the community string, whatever it was. We would push changes through that with varying degrees of success because Voyance did weird stuff sometimes.
I think we did both. So, and again, with the merger, it gets a little murky because I was on one side of the table, and they brought in their own stuff. But if you don't have a holistic, and this isn't necessarily what we're talking about, but I had an experience there where they did buy into a vendor automation solution for a particular fabric platform thing, and almost everyone was still doing CLI changes in those devices. Yeah. Someone went in and did what they thought was the right thing. They went into the tool and they pushed a very simple change to the fabric. The fabric management platform from the vendor, however the logic worked, it had no config in it because nobody used it. So it took his config change, just pushed that and wiped everything else out. And we had like a 7-hour gigantic fabric outage. Oof. So I use that example as if you don't have a company-wide, holistic, like everybody has to get on the same page because most people were doing CLI, some people were doing automation, and this one poor guy who didn't get in trouble because it wasn't his fault, used the tool he thought he was supposed to use because it's there and they bought it, and didn't really understand what would happen, what is this tool going to do? And all hell broke loose. So I think that when I talk to networking people about automation, I think we're all afraid of blast radius.
Yeah.
Fail at scale, yeah.
All of it, right? You can break all the things very efficiently. AWS, US1 just went down not too long ago. I know the big Meta thing. Like, just look in the news. There's
Cloudflare had an outage this morning.
Yeah, right. And usually the RCA, I think, is some kind of automated process that got pushed that failed for reasons or unexpected, whatever. So I get the pushback on automation. That wasn't why I didn't want to automate. I just didn't think I could cognitively handle programmatic stuff because I tried and failed and my brain said, this isn't for you. But that's the pushback I get from most folks who aren't automating that I talk to in the industry is like, well, that's just going to break everything really fast. Part of that is not understanding. I think back to the point of what happened to that guy at Fiserv. He didn't understand the tool. He didn't understand what was going to happen. And he just used automation because that's what I should do.
So I wanted to ask, you said it was a top-down mandate, automate, get on the bus or get out. But did they back that up with training, instruction?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. So I don't know how all this works because I'm new to all this, but we had an engagement with Network to Code. We can cut that out if that's not supposed to be in this episode. But
that's fine.
No, that's great.
yeah, they brought in Network to Code and they were great. And we had classes and boot camps. And I had a panic attack in the Network to Code Python, like boot camp. It wasn't their fault. They were great. But
Do you mean a literal panic attack?
well, I think
I am someone who has experienced those.
I would say yes. It was on the spectrum of, so it was during COVID, the merger happened, automate or else, my brain's telling me you can't do this. I'm working 5 maintenance windows a week. And this is the other thing I hear from a lot of people in automation, and I've talked to people in the hallways here at AutoCon, like to find the time when you're keeping the lights on, drowning in that work. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for network engineers, nobody cares. Go do it nights, weekends, and holidays. That's kind of the career, I think, which is unfortunate. Some companies, like where I was, said, hey, we have training, you can do it, go ahead. But because of everything else going on, and I was up until 2 a.m. on a maintenance window the night before, I fell a little behind in this class. My brain started spinning, and I'm like, I can't do this. And I dropped it like the first day of the boot camp. It was a 5-day boot camp. And
Really?
I pinged my boss, and I went to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I can't do this. So I was having like serious visceral reactions to trying to approach this material, which probably sounds crazy to people. Like, dude, it's just Python, relax.
No,
My
not at all.
experience
Yeah.
was, I can't do this. It's beyond me. And if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my job. That's what I was
It's a lot of pressure.
And it's COVID, and my kids are home, and they're interrupting me every 5 minutes. I mean, it was awful. Yeah. Dark place. Let's get out of here.
So one of the things you said, we've talked about this before too, where you said, I got into networking because I didn't want to be a programmer, and that automation comes along and you feel like, oh wait, this programming thing is coming back to get me. So can you talk a little bit about why do you see networking as separate from programming? Or
It's an awesome question. Ethan's raising his eyebrows because I think that's the $1 million question.
It is.
I don't have a great answer, but they are separate. They are different. There are some people, I know Ethan's about this. So there are some people that I've met in networking, like Ethan, who are computer science majors. You can probably complete that sentence on your own, listener, but they learn programming, they learn programmatic thinking, they know the log, they know how that all works. So as a network engineer, whatever, I did this when I was 19. For me, who doesn't have that context or that skill set, when I'm presented with that, I'm like, oh my God, I failed out of computer science. I can't do this, it's too hard. I can't remember a string from a whatever, like, I just get lost in the sauce because I freak out about it. Now that has since changed, but it's a very good question. Ethan, you want to?
Well, I mean, you got me reflecting on the
Yeah.
same thing, Drew. I mean, you're right. So I spent 4 years of my computer science degree primarily learning programming languages, various types of languages that work in various ways and had various strengths. It's not like, oh, you're just doing the same thing but in a different language. No, programming languages are weird. The different things that, like COBOL is very different from C++ that you mentioned, which is different from Fortran, and these different languages are created to do different things, and they have commonalities, variables and looping structures, and how to interact with things outside of itself, and so on. You learn all of that. But building infrastructure is not programming. You're configuring a device to do something, and it's not the same discipline. Programming is you're writing a procedure that accepts input and creates some sort of output. And you have to have an anticipation of what's going to be sent into that program and make sure that it can be handled, and then what output it needs to go in, and then make it modular and debuggable and well documented and all of that. Configuring a network device or building a network is just a different sort of thing. And so for me, watching all this automation stuff come along, it's been like, okay, we're taking something that was designed to accept a configuration. This is how you're supposed to work, and taking these programming concepts and applying it to it. And it's a little bit of taking the whole square peg in a round hole kind of thing. It's like, this wasn't really equipment wasn't intended to do this quite like this, but we've been spending, I don't know, Andy, has it been a decade? Has it been longer that we've been trying to take devices that we're used to configuring to do something and try to turn it into something that will accept, that we can interact with programmatically? There's just different
I don't know why
animals.
it's so different in networking. Like Linux servers have been doing it forever, right? Like networking is the last great holdout, I think, for automating stuff. And
Blast radius is, I think, is why.
Well,
That's
I also
my
just
opinion.
wonder about
could be. Yeah.
conceptually, like you said, you really struggled with, was it C++ or something?
Yeah.
But then you have to go into a device and use a CLI, and that seems
You're making
like there's a syntax thing.
You're
but-
making a really good point that my friend Chris Margette, when I worked at Juniper, made to me, because he's a programmer guy. And he's like, if you can figure out the logic in Cisco CLI, and if you're telling me you've had 27-page Notepad++ documents that you created, that you copy and pasted and worked, that's programmatic thinking. You can do that. For some reason in my brain, and I can only speak for myself, I think it was the neural pathways built failing out of computer science in college that just wouldn't allow me to see the connection that you just made, which is there. And if you can automate Linux servers, I don't know why you can't automate a NAS that's Linux-based. Like, I think it's cultural, and it's part of what I'm going to talk about. But really, there's, we're here at AutoCon, and it's a bunch of people who like automation talking to other people who like automation. So I love Chris and I love Scott, and I'm really into this conference and I'm having a great time. But when I first heard AutoCon, I'm like, oh my God, they're building an echo chamber. This is not going to move the industry, right? Now, that's probably an unfair thing, but it was my first thought. Like, you guys might as well be on a social media platform, all just patting yourselves on the back of all the good things you're doing. So the audience for me speaking about this is twofold. The people at AutoCon, how can you help move the industry more toward network automation without, just data points and wins, because that doesn't change minds. It didn't change, my mind. The other audience I speak to are those network operators that you're talking about. How do we connect them to the value of this? And honestly, and I'll pull us there, I guess, because it's the next part of the story, but I got laid off. I went from Fiserv to Juniper.
Yeah.
Did a stint there. It was great, kind of. I got late.
What were you doing at Juniper?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that.
The Apstra group. Were you in the Apstra team?
Yes. Well, no. You would think it's an easy question to answer. So my title was product manager, and I was aligned in the data center, Apstra, BU kind of thing. But I didn't.
No, I think of a PM, a product manager, as someone who was interacting with customers, understands what a product should be, and sets direction for that product.
That's what that job does. I did not do that.
Okay.
So my good friend Mike Bouchang, I think they were the recs that he had. So he has a very uncommon, I think, strategy for hiring people. He hires for strengths. So we were talking earlier about strength-based. So he saw what I was good at, saw a gap where he was, and pulled me in. The rec he had was product manager, but I did not manage a product. We did a lot of, so I am the customer. Like my buddy Pete Lumbus talks about, I am the Lorax. I speak for the users, right? Like, and I love that. And I wish Pete would come on, but he can't. I love Pete. I am speaking for those users, for those network people. And I completely just lost my train of thought, and we're going to have to edit this out. Where were we going?
You're not doing PM work.
Oh, thank you. God. I have a very small working memory, in case you didn't know. It just happened, folks. Sorry, my buffer just filled, the queue filled up, and we dropped packets, but we're back.
We're retransmitting.
Yeah. So Mike hired me to help the users. That was my point before I got lost in Goo Goo Land. So we did a lot of quality of life things. We improved our rack mount kits. We improved code upgrade capabilities. Like, it was a lot of customers that were in pain from that vendor, and we did a lot of things to help that. But I got laid off, and it took me about a year to find my next role. And that was way longer than I thought it would take because I know a lot about networking.
I know a lot of people.
I know a lot of people.
And we're in the industry.
How the hell can I, listen, I'm not trying to say I'm anybody, right? But like, really? Me? I can't get anywhere with this.
Wasn't just you though, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't, but you know, I internalize it. And listen, we have savings. It's not like we were eating cat food or anything, but like what it did mentally to me having interviews. So initially it was just people who wanted a product manager and I'd have to start the conversation with, I'm sorry, I didn't manage a product. They're like, goodbye. So that was the whole 2 months of fun. And then I was looking at other roles at vendors and networking, and even the vendor roles, they all seem to want and require some level of knowledge and cursory automation, even if it's just a little Python, or because that's where the industry's headed. I mean, it's been headed there forever.
Sure.
I think now, like, part of the reason I didn't like automation, not only because I didn't think I could do it, but I thought they're going to take our jobs, right? I have been in secret meetings that I can't talk about, but I will refer to that, like, you know, company leaders saying, how many of my operators can I get rid of if I buy such and such? Not where I am now, but I felt that, like, they're going to get rid of us. If they could do the job of 10 of us with one of us, why the hell? So I couldn't do it technically, I thought, and they're going to get rid of us. Why am I saying this? Well, now with AI, there's companies saying the quiet part out loud. I'm not going to punch down on any particular company, but if you look in the news, hey, we just got rid of 14,000 of our humans because AI is going to do their job. Holy crap. So I think AI is gasoline on that old fire I had about automation. It's happening. It's in the news. And if you're in networking and you do not skill up today, again, finish that sentence. I think it's going to be very difficult to compete in this market. It was for me last year without automation skills. So I had an experience while I was out of work that kind of woke me from my slumber. It exploded all the biases that I'd been carrying. It destroyed that story I had had for decades that I can't do this, because I thought if I do not change, I had like a moment of clarity and I thought, oh my God, if I don't change how I think about all this, I'm never going to work in networking again. What the hell am I going to do? And that everything changed from there, which is why I'm here at AutoCon working at where I work doing what I'm doing. It was only out of pain and desperation that I changed, which I think is the human condition.
It is, yeah.
Which is why I referenced the echo chamber earlier. We have to tell better stories if we think we're going to compel people who have been resisting automation for decades to do it. Maybe them losing their jobs because of AI and automate, like maybe that's enough, maybe it isn't. But us just coming here saying, look what we did, isn't this great? I think if a couple of us can really work on good storytelling and try to overcome all the stuff I just said I had for all those years, my goal, my hope, is that we can do that before more trad net ops people like me, the CLI lifers, wind up in a very deep, dark place where they're like, oh my God, my career is over. I can't believe this. Because if you look at the data, I think most network engineers aren't automating. I've seen different, like Gartner and Forrester, and it's not where we'd like it to be.
To me, you're saying you went on a bunch of interviews and are feeling like you couldn't get hired because you didn't have automation skills. A quick sponsor message from the network orchestration folks at Itential. Automating network configuration change is a major milestone for a NetOps team. Well, what is next? Orchestrating the entire workflow. Because network changes don't begin when you kick off a script. Network changes begin with a business process, such as a ticket coming in, and then you have a change to meet the needs of that ticket proposed. Testing is then performed to make sure the change will do the right things, and then a human approves, and the change is performed, and post-deployment testing is done, and notifications are sent out, and the ticket is updated, and your process no doubt varies, right? But you get the idea. Now, what if you could take that entire workflow and orchestrate it so that your manual interaction with the ticketing system and with ServiceNow and so on, if that's all handled by an automated workflow that you designed to work with the specific needs of your shop, that would make you more efficient, right? It would increase the likelihood of not only the change getting done, but the entire business workflow being completed without error. With Itential, you can create exactly that platform. You get a complete set of tooling that gives you all the power you could need to have your company's IT and business platforms interacting smoothly. When your network operations are ready to evolve to robust orchestration of your network changes, iTential should be on your short list of platforms to evaluate. To find out more about iTential's products and how they help you orchestrate network automation workflows, visit iTential.com. That's iTential.com, and tell them Packet Pushers sent you.
You want to hear something? This is the worst part of it all. I can't believe this. This is how desperate I was. I pinged my old manager at Fiserv to see if I could get my network engineering job back for half the money I was making at a vendor, working all the maintenance windows, getting my butt kicked. I didn't qualify for that job because I didn't know Python. And that's like true. This isn't hyperbole.
And so what's really scary
I
about
was a
that
senior
to
network
me,
engineer running WAN projects in
financial services networks are so complicated and so difficult. If you can find someone that was there before that kind of knows the deal, and you're not going to spend 6 months just ramping them up so they understand the workflows and the customer impact and all the things that are unique and special and high pressure about working in financial services, and they didn't hire you back, wow.
Yeah. So that was my experience. And I don't know if this is typical, and I don't know what's coming, but I am telling this story to anyone who will listen. Hopefully, we can save these other, what I lovingly term CLI lifers, or what Scott Robam would call the TradNet ops folks. I'm hoping that we can save them. Like, we're all podcasters here. We love networking. We love the community. This is why we do this, right? Like, I don't want other me's out there to have the same awful experience I did, which drove me to change. Maybe we can get to them before they have the dark moment I had that I'll talk about tomorrow.
I'm curious if you think if the networking industry is essentially full of people like you who are like, programming's not my bag, but I want to be in tech. Oh, here's this networking thing. I can go over there, which makes that transition harder. Do you have a sense of your peers, if other people share that sort of, you almost have like a visceral distaste for programming?
If you look at the data, it seems like there's a lot of resistance. I think something that I keep trying to remind myself that I really want to say tomorrow, because I think it makes me look super smart, is NAF's whole mission. I think it's the reason that we're here is to look at and discuss why levels of network automation are so low compared to all the other tech stacks. So like, I think the data is there, whether it's coming from people having a visceral reaction like me. Like, I don't know what the source is. I just know my experience, and that's the story I'll tell.
Mm-hmm.
But this conference wouldn't exist if networks were automated, right?
Yeah.
Like, full stop. So
yeah, that's the premise that the AutoCon series was founded on.
Why we're here. And
why aren't our networks all automated yet?
Yeah, and I love the work that they're doing, and it's amazing, and I'm thrilled to be here. But I also don't want to pretend that just by presenting data and patting each other on the back that we can change the minds of those people like me. I don't think it's enough.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It sounds a little woo-woo, but the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves tend to be how our lives turn out. So you have to be very careful about the story you tell about yourself. So you're absolutely spot on that we need two levels of story. We need an industry level story, but we also need that personal thing. Like, how am I thinking about this? Should I be thinking about it differently? What are my actual capabilities?
We're wired for story.
Yeah.
That's why people are listening right now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And you're right. There's a story we tell ourselves, which is usually based on experience, which was the story I was telling myself because of my experience. And then there are other people's stories. And if we can see ourselves in their story and then, oh, well, if they can do this, it might open the door, right? That's my goal.
How did you get to some level of proficiency with automation? I know it's a journey you're still on. But we left you having a panic attack at a Network to Code boot camp, but at some point you picked up skills.
It was panic attack. It was awful. Sorry, I'm just reliving it. Coming back. So because I couldn't find a job, and because I basically bottomed out emotionally, and I thought, oh my God, I have to change. This isn't. If I'm ever going to work again, I have to do this. I'm not happy about it. So I just started teaching myself. I spun up a lab with Linux. I mean, I've been learning Linux too. See, there's all these tangential things you have to learn, which annoys the hell out of me. It's not just Python, right? Well, you need Linux, and then you need Python, and you need
Ansible.
And Ansible, and then, Git. You got a GitHub, and maybe infrastructure as code, and Terraform. Do you know YAML? Like, we got Container Lab. I mean, it just never ends. And again, cognitively, if you see a mountain, it's overwhelming, and then you just run away. At least I did. So how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? So what I did was I found a course that Dwan Lightfoot had created on Python for network engineers.
Uh-huh.
And I just did the thing. And I was able to steal his code, which apparently we all do in programming. So
Can I just say
Yeah,
about Dwan?
yeah.
I've heard him present. He has a way of taking some big, complex, scary-looking thing, and like in 2 sentences, you're like, he explains this. You're like, oh, that's what that's for.
I'm going to tell you something about Dwan. I should have listened to him a long time ago. He's one of those people. Like when I see his career and what he's built from network engineer, like he was doing the automation stuff for years, and I thought, dude, what are you doing? But he became the automation guy, and now he's doing all this cool AI LLM stuff, and now Dwan can see around the corners. He can see further down the road than I've been able to see, and I'm just here to say, be like Dwan. I wish I had followed him earlier. But to answer your question, Ethan, before I get too lost in my brain, I followed the course. I stole some code that he wrote. It was just a simple, somebody told me, dude, just log into a device and issue a command. Oh yeah, that would be a good start, because I was trying to do other complex stuff. So a Python script with the NetMiko library. If you don't know, NetMiko is a library that allows you to SSH into devices. It's amazing. I ran it. It worked. It ran a chauffeur, and I'm like, holy, like my brain exploded. Decades of bias went away because I did it. Like, This
And it wasn't tons of code. And,
no, it was barely like, but you just got to do it, and that sucks. And I don't know. So Erica the dev comes to mind. She's out there she was a developer advocate and a developer, and she's been out there publicly saying that the development, I don't know what you call it, the coding industry is awful at teaching people how to code. That's just been her experience. And that's been my experience. I have bought every automation course that everyone offers. I have like 14 of them on Coursera. I still haven't, I would start, I would get lost, I would quit. So maybe there's an educational piece, I don't know. But I think it was only the stories we tell ourselves, to your point, Drew. Like, it was only when I was ready internally to say, no matter what, I'm going to learn this, because it's pain and it sucks. And like, we were talking about running before we started here, like doing hard things, exerting discipline, doing the things you don't want to do to improve yourself. I think for me, for network engineers, that's what learning this stuff is like. If you're going to learn Python, it's going to suck and it's going to take a while and you're going to have to do it over and over again until it clicks. For me, it clicked. I'm very much in the early stages. I've been doing this like Python, streaming thing. Shout out to Lexi Cooper, who was like streaming herself studying like Ethernet and like CCNA. And I'm like, this is hilarious. I love this. She's yelling about all these things that frustrate her. So that's what I've been trying to do, is just stream myself basically reading a Python book. It's super boring. It's cringe. When I edit it, I'm like, I can't believe this is out there. This is going to ruin me. But again, I have found so much, like by embarrassing myself and being vulnerable and learning publicly and struggling, because every course you take, it's so slick and it's so fast. And like, that's where I would.
Yeah, it's because when you know how it is to develop that sort of content, you got to go through like 6 things or 6 different iterations of it before you get to okay, I have to do it this way so that it goes smooth. If I do this, I'm going to make this mistake, and then this will happen. And
you don't want to present crap to the public, so you spend hours getting it perfect, and then hours editing it.
You spend hours and it's polished. It's not like you got that the first time.
But me sitting there feeling like a dum-dum trying to learn something simple, and you going way too fast, and it looks way too easy, I just can't relate. The bridge, that chasm between us becomes too far, and I give up. So I'm very early in the journey, but I am enjoying it. It's great. I'm not at the point yet where I can look at a Python script and understand it, other than the cute little one I wrote to like run a show version. But I'm going to compound that interest. I'm going to keep. I
have to write comments in my own script so that when I go back to it after a month or 6 months, I remember what the heck this does.
Right. My goal is to just be able to understand basic Python. A bunch of people have actually told me I'm wasting my time and effort on this because I can just vibe code, right? Let's just let that sit for a second so people can think about that.
I have feelings about that.
Well, I do too. And honestly, I want to learn. So again, back to Dwan, I'm trying to learn the thing and what's happening now and what's important. I don't want to be in my car again wondering if my family would be better off without me because I can no longer earn a living and take care of them. That was my low point, right? Yeah. Which,
geez, dude, seriously?
That's why I changed. It's what this talk is about. I got to a point after a year of not being able to get a job. Like, listen, your self-worth shouldn't be tied to your career. But when you have a family and children and a mortgage and college savings. Like, I don't know how long you can go without bringing in an income or seeing any light crack through until you start to feel differently about yourself. For me, it was about a year. Maybe other people are like, oh, whatever, I've been out for 5 years and I'm playing video games all day and my life is great. Like, for me, that wasn't the case. It was my first time not having a full-time job in like 17 years, and it was crushing to me, and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. So the low point came up because this is what it took for me to learn this stuff. And I am learning in public. I am struggling. I am not the smart, polished coder guy who's going to just walk you through this in 5 minutes and show you it all. Warts and all, this is what you're seeing. I don't think it's particularly great content because I know what I like to produce, but maybe me being uncomfortable and showing you how hard this is for me, who's a network engineer like you. And since I've released those episodes, I can't tell you how many people have reached out. Like, thank you. I feel just like you do about this. I watched your thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was helpful. So I am trying to be open and honest
Okay,
and
you're releasing them as
vulnerable.
episodes where? Where can I find this?
Oh, on the podcast, the A1.
Oh, okay. So Art of Network Engineering.
Art of Network
you're releasing
Engineering.
these as video podcasts
I
like
call
on
them Python,
YouTube?
both, yeah.
Yeah.
They're called Python parties.
Okay.
Silly, right? I mean, listen, I'm an old guy who tried to figure out how to stream. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, how do you do the thing with the coming soon? And like, it was so silly. It's like old man trying to figure out young stuff. But yeah, we were streaming, and then I edited them, released them as episodes. And there's only a couple out. I need to do more. I brought my Python book here. Maybe I'll do one while I'm here. That would be appropriate. But I just want to keep learning in public like some of my peers have. They impacted me from learning in public. I'm trying to impact other network engineers by doing the same thing. Because if you think it's easy, and if you sign up for one of these courses and you feel like a dummy because it goes too fast and it's too complex, it's not going to happen for you. But if you watch dummy try to do this and make a fool out of myself, but then get a Python script to run to work, right? Like, oh, look how clueless he is, but it worked for him. Great. Like,
you make me feel like I should live stream some of my adventures because I will sit there frustrated going, why are you doing this right now? I did the thing and it's not doing and I'm going, okay. And then, okay, calm down. Back up. What did I do wrong? And you figure it out. But it's like, I don't want to, it's not that I'm not vulnerable. It's like, I don't want to show people that stuff because it's tedious and I probably made some dumb mistake.
I spent 40 minutes troubleshooting something in one of these things. I edited that out because I'm like, there's no way. But people live streamed me watching for 40 minutes fight this stupid line of code that I couldn't get to do a thing. You're right. Nobody wants to watch that. It's terrible. My friend Lex is like, oh, they'll just fast forward it. But it took me forever to edit this thing down into something consumable because I'm like, who the hell would watch me yelling at an IDE? Well, like even that, I have like VS Code, right? That's a whole thing. And I connect that and then there's plugins. And so don't get overwhelmed by all this stuff.
Oh, the vibe coding thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit and ask an AI to generate code for me because I need to understand how it actually works. If it's vibe coding and it makes a thing and it kind of works and then it breaks or I need to modify it and I don't actually understand what's going on, I haven't learned anything.
That's exactly where I was going, and I got lost in the weeds. But you should just vibe code. I want to understand the code. Why? My buddy Phil Gervasi gave me a book because he's very smart and talking about LLMs and AI stuff. And I see him at Nugs, and I'm like, you were a network engineer. How did you get so AI smart? And he gave me this book by Javier Antioch. I think I'm saying his name
book,
right.
yeah.
I got 10 pages in, and my brain splattered all over the wall. I'm like, what the hell? There were graphs and math, and I'm like, what is happening?
It's called Machine Learning for Network Engineers.
Yeah. When I tried to consume that book, because I think this is important to stay skilled up in networking, and it's here, and you better learn it. It's not programming, but it seemed related or tangential to me. Like when I looked at that, I had that same brain fog that I get when I looked at Python. So I'm like, well, maybe if I can learn Python and get programmatic thinking in my brain and be able to understand scripts, I am hoping that enables me to maybe have more access to the machine learning, LLM, AI stuff that I'd like to learn, but just feels out of reach now. So I don't know if programming is going to get me there, but that's why I'm learning Python to understand it, because I want to learn machine learning to understand that at a low, like not high level. I'm not gonna make the next ChatGPT, right? But I just want to understand how this stuff's working. And if I vibe code, I'm never gonna. And Dwan just did a video the other day. He released it on LinkedIn about he vibe coded something and a lot of it was wrong. And he's like, if I don't understand, I can look at the code and know why it's wrong and get it fixed, even if you vibe code the fix. But me, I wouldn't know. Like, I don't know. I made some code. I threw it in Replit. It didn't work. I guess I'll just keep talking to the LLM until this magically works. I think it's insane to not understand fundamentals. It's like managing a network without knowing how TCP works or like encapsulation. Like, are you serious? I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah.
Oh, here's this automation thing. And you just press a button and it works. And like, well, man, when all hell breaks loose and it's broken, you're done. You're not going to understand the fundamentals. So, yeah.
All right, man. So
done with me?
This has been a very good conversation. So we've alluded to a few different things that you're involved with. One is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. You're the host of that at this point. Do you have co-hosts at this point?
I've been bringing friends in. You're welcome to join me. Yeah, we had a team, and then it kind of changed January this year, and now it's just kind of me. I'm the last founding member around, and I'm bringing friends in. My buddy Jeff comes in and helps me. Kevin Myers, Colin Doyle's coming in today. We're going to record something, so it's kind of like
you guys talk. What is it? Career-oriented stuff, tech stuff. What's the format of the show?
Anything that interests me. It's kind of so I'm endlessly curious, and it started out as just having conversation. AJ started the show and wanted to have conversations. He wanted to give voices to the voiceless, the people, the non-dwans, the like the people that not everybody knows. Well, what's your life like, and what's it like being a network engineer where you are? And like, so that's how it started. After we told 100 and something of the same story over and over again to different people, we saw the pattern, we saw what it was, and we're like, oh my God, we have to stop. We can't do the every fart along your career journey anymore. This is insane. So we kind of pivoted topical, and now it's like, what are we talking about? Like we talked about like navigating vendor relationships, Kevin and I. We're at networking field day, and I'm how does a network engineer navigate all this? I got to build a network, and there's 100 of them, and they all say they're great. What do I do? So like that, anything that could be relevant to a network engineer or someone in networking to like help them in their career. But it's whatever that week I find interesting, and right now it's automation, so there's some of that.
And you guys publish everywhere, Spotify and all the places.
Yeah, we're in all the places. Yep. There's a link tree /Art of Net Eng. We have a website, artofnetworkengineering.com. But just if you look up Art of Network Engineering, it's in all the places, and we're on YouTube and all the podcatchers.
Another thing I think you mentioned was the Pennsylvania NUG. Is that something you're tied up in?
Yeah, I'm like, what do they call it? I don't know, planning somebody or another. I help plan them and get them going. Yeah, the USNUA is an incredible organization that I've really enjoyed working with. I live in Pennsylvania, so I do the PA NUG, and I think the last event we had, there was like 70 registrants. I think 47 showed up, and it's just dozens of networking people that come for free food, free beer, and then people come up and talk about cool stuff. It was internet exchanges last time. We've done optical stuff before, and it's just a great in-person kind of place you can go and kind of do this, but with people and with some food.
Excellent.
Man.
What else? How else can I follow Andy, keep up with what you're doing?
I have been writing again after a long time of not writing. So I host a website, permitIPAndyAndy.com, and I've been blogging again. So I would go there to the blog, and you can check out some of this stuff. But I don't know. Just if you Google me, isn't it from like a movie? Like, Google me, bro. If you Google me, you'll see all the things everywhere. I'm doing a bunch of content for Nokia. I'm writing blogs. I'm releasing videos. I'm here. Yeah, if you want to learn about networking and what it's like to be a network engineer, I'm kind of your guy. That's my deal.
Very cool. Very cool, man. Thank you for coming on. This was an awesome conversation. You said things that made me have feelings.
Thank you. This was great. I want to thank you for having me on. You have been fantastic. In full transparency, years ago, you were like the competition to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just the wrong thinking, the wrong story I had. But then you and I got upset. Why would I think you're competition? Well, we're both networking, right? And we're doing the podcasting, and like there's only, there's listeners and sponsors, and like I got upset last year, and you got on the phone with me, and we spent like over an hour talking, and I'm like, I love Ethan Banks. Like, he's such a nice guy. I mean, now you've become a friend. Like, I saw you at the airport yesterday, and you gave me a hug, and it was so nice. Like, so I was telling myself, back to the stories, and then we'll wrap. Like, I was telling myself a story that, like, well, they're networking podcasting, and I'm networking podcasting, and like, we can't be friends, and we're competing for the same. And one of the things you said on the call we had, because I reached out and you were a friend, you're like, dude, there's plenty for all of us, and we're all like, and there is, and I believe that now, but I didn't believe it before. And I think just being vulnerable, revealing my thinking, and then letting somebody challenge that, I think it's huge. We're all kind of stuck in our little way we see the world. And if you don't challenge that, and the older I get, the more important it is. I know how things go, and I'm not going to listen to anything. I am trying to refute the crap in my head every day. And you really helped me with that. So being open to it. And so thank you for having me on. This is like kind of a dream. I listened to you guys in my Comcast cable truck when I was studying for the CCNA. And this was my community when I started and continues to be. I love the show. So thank you for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you for coming on. And there is really room for everybody because different people connect to different other people for whatever their reasons are, the way our brains work.
I can't be Ethan, and Ethan can't be Andy.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be because we're authentically ourselves, and that's what people connect to.
And neither of us are Drew,
Well, right.
and Drew's not any of the other hosts that are on the network, and so on.
But it's the same in anything in life. Like, I work for a networking vendor. Oh, I hate all the other vendors. No, I don't. We have our strengths, and they have theirs, and people can make decisions. So anyway, I think it's been fantastic to be here. Thank you.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you for listening out there to Heavy Networking. If you've been resisting automation, the point of this story, as Drew and I were chatting about this, we wanted Andy's story to maybe nudge you to look into it, try some things out, overcome it. This may not be the year of IPv6, but it's definitely the year of automation. It's definitely happening, 100%.
Ooh, just threw IPv6 under the bus.
What? Did I?
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Ed Horley is going to have a word.
There are lots of resources for you that we offer at packetpushers.net. We've got our free community Slack channel, for example. Over 4,000 engineers from around the world hang out in that Slack. They chat, they troubleshoot, they share opinions. It's a really good, friendly group, and we enforce that it is a welcoming, friendly atmosphere. So go to packetpushers.net.
In a friendly way, we enforce it.
Yes, but we do. We things have happened, but we get right in there. Read the very short list of rules at packetpushers.net/community so you know what we expect and how to interact with that Slack group. And then sign up, and we'll see you in there. That'd be great. You might also like our newsletters. They help you keep up with everything going on in the industry. And with Packet Pushers, we've had people tell us, the way I keep up with the industry at this point is I just read your newsletter. I don't even bother looking at headlines at this point. So, yeah, you could do that. Scan the headlines, see our curated selection of blogs, industry announcements, tech memes, and so on. And it's all one well-organized email we send out each week on Thursdays. It's called Human Infrastructure. You could also sub to our other newsletter called Packet Capture. That lists everything that we publish during the week across our podcast network and on YouTube and our blog site and so on. We also list any industry jobs that we happen to hear about. You can find both of those newsletters, Packet Capture and Human Infrastructure, at packetpushers.net/newsletters. And we do not sell your contact info if you're worried about that. It's not what we just want to share good information. We're not trying to make money on your contact data. Like, share, and subscribe, and send us your comments via packetpushers.net/follow-up. We read everything that comes through on that follow-up form. We would love to hear your feedback. And last but not least, remember that too much networking would never be enough.